Hello, 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 and welcome to Saturday, and welcome to arguably the biggest game of the Montreal Canadiens season. It's Saturday night in Montreal. It's the Montreal Canadiens and Toronto Maple Leafs. Welcome to your Saturday morning version of the Shaun Starr Show. Good to be with you. We will be with you taking your comments live as we react to a massive, massive game against two of the hottest teams going in the National Hockey League, with the Toronto Maple Leafs obviously sitting well atop the NHL's Atlantic Division and have a nice 10-point cushion over the Montreal Canadiens. But as we know, the Montreal Canadiens go into this Saturday night game with 22 wins and 48 points, 1 point out of the second wild card, 2 points out from catching Columbus. The best story in the National Hockey League, certainly through the first half and now into the second half of a new NHL regular season. The BJs have 50 points and 22 wins, and they are in an absolute heater. Columbus has won 6 in a row to get them to 50 points. Toronto, though, with 58 and wins in 6 of their last 10. Massive tilt tonight against the Montreal Canadiens as we switch over quickly to take a look at the competitive balance of what's going on in the Eastern Conference, right? Montreal 11-2-1 over their last 14 games. What does that mean, my friends? Shocking the world, essentially, is what that means. Montreal, the hottest team in hockey in the last calendar month, with, again, that 11-2-1 record that has gotten them to 22 wins and 48 points, right there with the Ottawa Senators, who continue to teeter-totter this NHL season. 4 wins in their last 10 games, coming off an L, though. But it's the Boston Bruins, Montreal Canadiens, Ottawa Senators, and Detroit Red Wings that are all neck and neck as they battle to the finish line in what should be an outstanding NHL season. So we have lots to get to today, and of course I want to react to all your comments this morning. So good morning, everybody. Let's see what's going on quickly as we transition over, as we do our morning roll call on this Saturday, as we say good morning to Ace. What's up? We have lots to get to, as I mentioned, we have new guests coming up this week, so stay tuned for that. In the aftermath of what was an absolute juggernaut of a week for the Montreal Canadiens, with back-to-back wins after getting into 4 straight games beyond regulation. Montreal managed to get back on the right side of things when they handled their business in that 5-3 win over Utah on Tuesday, with Sam Montembeault in goal, Lane Hudson picking up 3 assists. Jakub Dobeš, in my opinion, gets the surprise start against the Dallas Stars, a team that you saw at the Bell Center on Saturday night, skating off with that 2-1 shootout win in which Sam Montembeault kept the Montreal Canadiens in it, and I would say largely responsible, right, for at least getting a point in that Saturday night 2-1 shootout loss. So Martin St. Louis decides to go with Jakub Dobeš, and it paid off in a massive way on Thursday night as the Stars were on a tear. They'd won, 6 of their last 7. Their only blemish was that loss to Ottawa after they beat Montreal, and Dallas, if memory serves me, went with their backup, not Jake Ottinger. That's who the Canadiens got on Thursday night. Juraj Slafkovsky scores a nice goal from Cole Caulfield on a beautiful setup, and Jakub Dobeš stands tall the rest of the day as he moves to 4-0. No doubt one of many bright spots on this Montreal Canadiens season. And we have lots to get to on what I think is the biggest game of the year for the Montreal Canadiens. Your comments starting to come in now a little bit more. Epic Unicorn, what's up? I think it's going to be a crazy game. Overtime, I think it's going to be Montreal. Go Habs, go. It's been a minute. Doesn't it feel great? Doesn't it feel great to get back for a second to hyping up a Montreal Canadiens home game on a Saturday night, as opposed to, I don't know, looking at the draft, for example? It feels good again. It makes you feel alive, doesn't it, to get pumped up at 9:34 on a Saturday morning. Here we are, 9 hours away from puck drop, getting excited for a Montreal Canadiens game. Back-to-back wins this weekend as the Montreal Canadiens have a jam-packed weekend. That's what John's hoping for today. And, right off the hop, let's be honest, man. The fact that the Montreal Canadiens are playing a Sunday night game against the New York Rangers does not sit well with me. It does not. For regular viewers of this channel, I'm a diehard NFL fan. And as much as I am amped up for the Habs and Leafs at 7 o'clock at the Bell Center tonight, I am also just as amped for the Sunday night NFL primetime game between the Baltimore Ravens at the Buffalo Bills, arguably 2 of the 3 best teams in the National Football League's regular season. You have the 2 odds-on favorites to win the NFL MVP in Josh Allen on Buffalo, Lamar Jackson on the Baltimore Ravens side. You have unbelievable storylines for both sides of the organization, and that's a 6:30 p.m. kickoff on Sunday night. The Canadiens and Rangers get going at 7 o'clock Sunday night. Leafs are about to go 5-5 in their last previous 10. Looks, Toronto hasn't been great. Toronto has been kind of dealing with serious injuries, and the season series between these two teams is 1-1, obviously, right? I mean, Sam Montembeault, season opening 48 save performance, shutting down the Toronto Maple Leafs in a 1-0 final. But my oh my, how things have changed, right? Between how Toronto's season got underway, how Montreal's season got underway, and now we're here talking together Saturday morning with just a 10-point discrepancy between the top of the division and the Montreal Canadiens, who are 1 point out of a playoff spot today. So this is another massive game for the Montreal Canadiens because, they more or less have went through, I've been calling it Murderer's Row, right? Like right out of the Christmas break. 2 days before Christmas, they lose that 5-4 regulation game to Columbus at Columbus, right? And they follow that up by going on their second 3-game winning streak of the season when they sweep Florida 4-0, 5-2, outscore the Florida teams 9-2 in 2 games, back-to-back, Saturday and Sunday, right? Then they go to Vegas, beat the Vegas Golden Knights in regulation. Maybe the toughest place to play as a visiting team in the NHL. They win their 3-2 in regulation. And then, of course, they dropped the Chicago game where everybody was telling me, Shaun, it was a trap game, you monkey. How did you not see that coming? Fine, guilty as charged. And then the Canadiens go on this marathon of beyond regulation. Shootout wins, back-to-back overtime wins against Vancouver and Washington. The shootout win over Colorado where Jakub Dobeš was brilliant. Then the shootout loss to Dallas, and now back-to-back regulation time wins over Utah and Dallas. So it has been a little bit of a murderer's row, going through the gauntlet, Shawshank Redemption style, crawling through a river of shit and coming out clean on the other side is basically what the Montreal Canadiens have done. And as I mentioned off the top, 11-2-1 in their last 14, which means they are the best team points-wise in the National Hockey League in the last calendar month. So of all the teams that they played, the one team they haven't measured themselves up against so far comes tonight in the Toronto Maple Leafs. And when we look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, as I've mentioned, Austin Matthews dealing with injury, John Taylor, and the Maple Leafs prior to beating New Jersey with with Wall in goal and Nylander having another great game, scoring on the power play, winning the game in overtime at home against New Jersey. But prior to that, it was to Carolina, Vancouver, and the Dallas Stars. And Toronto wasn't in any of those games. 6-3, 3-0, 4-1. Those were the losses. So it's been an interesting season for Toronto, which, obviously the 10-point difference is a big gulf. It's a big gulf between the two teams, but overall, Toronto has 6 more regulation time victories. Scoring chances 4 in terms of percentage, 26th ranked Canadiens, 48% per 60 minutes, right? Maple Leafs at 18. Goals per game, Montreal scores an even 3 goals per game. Toronto 3.04. So we're talking about 16th overall in the NHL, 13th overall in the NHL in Toronto. Goals against per game, a little bit lopsided. Montreal still paying the price for how poorly they played in the first 6-7 weeks of the season. Goaltending wasn't great. Caden Primo couldn't find his form at the NHL level. And the Montreal Canadiens right now in goals against per game, ranked 26th overall in the NHL. Toronto comes in 12th at less than 3 goals against per game. Montreal's at just 3.2. Power play, evenly matched. Montreal better than the Toronto Maple Leafs with the man advantage. 16th to 18th. Penalty kill, Montreal better than the Toronto Maple Leafs. 8th ranked penalty killing unit in the NHL for Montreal, 12th to Toronto, and as I mentioned, the head-to-head record is 1-1. So it was the difference when the two teams met on November the 9th, when Toronto scored 2 times on the power play and 1 shorthanded to burn the Canadiens in a 4-1 final. But this isn't that version of the Montreal Canadiens. This is a much more confident, much more balanced, much deeper version of the Montreal Canadiens, and they continue to get better. Your comments on this Saturday morning. Good morning, everybody. Lots to get to here, so I want to get to this as quickly as I can. Lots of people think this is going to be a great game today. I'm with you. Morning, everybody. Excited to see what Lane Hutson does on a Saturday night against Toronto. Also, first time Patrick Laine has faced the Leafs in a Habs jersey. I predict a big game from Laine, Slafkovsky, and Lane Hutson. From your lips to somebody's ears, please. Please. And, as obviously Lane Hudson, I think, has been the story of the week for the Montreal Canadiens. 3 points against Utah, had a big point in the win against Dallas, setting up the game-winning goal there for Lane Hudson on a nice deflection from Alex Newhook. But Lane Hudson continues, obviously, as I made the case on Friday. If you watch the video, Lane Hudson is my rookie of the year, 23 minutes on average, 36 points, on pace for what? How many points is Lane Hudson on pace for? And I'm losing track because every day it gets better. He's third on team scoring right now. Three goals and 33 assists. And what does that? That translates to a 67-point season is what Lane Hudson is on pace for. So with Montreal on the cusp of a playoff berth, 1 point out, Lane Hudson having the season that Lane Hudson is having, it all adds up in my mind, and no disrespect to Macklin Celebrini. San Jose back to a little bit more of a relevant storyline. They're much more entertaining to watch, so I'm told. And Macklin Celebrini and Lane Hudson, this is the two-man race for Rookie of the Year. And right now, with the Montreal Canadiens in the competitive landscape that they're in, Lane Hudson is my Rookie of the Year today. If the season hypothetically were to end tonight, and tonight is the 82nd and final game, Lane Hudson is my guy, right? So, like a lot of commentators in the chat are saying, like, we're all excited to see primetime players on a primetime stage playing a primetime game. And Lane Hudson, it's crazy that, with basically one half of a NHL season under his belt in terms of a sample size with what we're working off of, Lane Hudson already has turned into a league story. Lane Hudson is turning heads outside of our province. People across the National Hockey League are standing up and taking notice about what 48 is doing. And it was fun. If you go back to the Friday video I did with Sean Campbell talking about Lane Hudson, right? And the fact that both Campbell and I do agree that the Montreal Canadiens star defenseman, number 48, is I am locked. Not the coolest number. It's not the coolest number, right? Like, so if I can, let me see if I could take you to some of the comments coming in here. Like, this is the video I did on Friday with Campbell. Got 101 comments, and the player makes the number from T-Bone 67. The player makes the number, not the other way around. 48 is starting to become pretty cool. And there was a lot of that reaction to people taking issue with the fact that I didn't think number 48 was a cool number. But listen, I'll give you full credit. I didn't think of that angle. I didn't think about the cool factor that the player can make the number cool. And you know what? T-Bone and everybody else that commented along those lines Friday and into Saturday morning, you are 100% right. You are 100% right. It takes a man to admit when they're wrong. I am 46 years old. I'm a man. And I was wrong. Lane Hudson is going to make 48 cool. And dare I say, 48, I don't think has ever been cool in the history of the Montreal Canadiens. No disrespect to J.J. Daigneault. I even think J.J. Daigneault, if he were watching this stream today, might agree that 48 wasn't necessarily the coolest number. So here we are on the day of the biggest game of the Montreal Canadiens season to date. Toronto with 28 wins and 58 points. Montreal with 48 points and 22 wins. Let's go. I told you I would have loved to have seen Jakub Dobeš start against the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, but the Canadiens see it a different way, and I am not here to certainly disagree with that perspective. In terms of the chat, let's get back to some of your comments. I really don't want to ignore you. I want to get to many of your comments because we have a lot coming in this morning, so thank you for being with me on this Saturday morning. Everyone excited. Go Habs, go. Audio Murphy, what's up? Curious Browser. Lots of points on the table coming up, but with the super goalie tandem, every game is winnable from your lips, right? Because Jakub Dobeš, along with Alex Carrier, I mean, there are so many avenues we can point to, right? There are so many avenues we can point to. Was this the TSN turning point of the Canadian season? Was that the TSN turning point of the Canadian season? Like, which was it? Was it Patrick Laine, where the Canadiens have like 12 wins since Patrick Laine has, healthy enough to return to the lineup? He's on 10 goals. Finally scored his first regulation goal of the season because he had 9 power play goals. Prior to that, was it Jakub Dobeš providing stability and confidence so the guys in front of him can play a more natural, reactionary kind of game? Was it Alex Carrier in the trade for Justin Barron to Nashville before Christmas, Was that the TSN turning point? Were all of them the TSN turning point when we put them all together? Like, there are so many ways we can look at why the Montreal Canadiens have been better. And I think we can, take a look at all of those, right? Steph Howard, good morning. Morning, everybody. My bold take today is the Commanders and Texans move on to the next round. Steph Howard coming in with a hot NFL playoff take. Listen, I mean, I am here for the Kansas City Chiefs to lose tonight. I am here for that, no doubt. I love C.J. Stroud. The Texans are a fun little storyline. But beyond that, I don't know. I don't want Detroit to lose. I want to see Detroit. I want to see the Lions get rewarded for a great season. They're a fun, creative, inspiring team to watch. So I'm with you half the way, Steph. I'm with you half the way. I've got some NFL picks to dish out later. John, good morning, John. Everyone has been falling into place and all at the same time. Evans line, Doc, Dobish, Carrier, Gooley, and the list goes on and on. And seriously, man, like, how much fun is that we can react to that and believe in something? Because ultimately that's kind of what it is for me. It's the belief that what Ken Hughes, Jeff Gorton, and Martin St. Louis, those three guys, the tripods, the architects of this Montreal Canadiens turnaround, the doors of communication are wide open. I think there's room for someone to have a differing opinion, when it comes to whether or not you like a decision that Jeff Gorton has brought to the table. And I think that has definitely helped the Montreal Canadiens get to the point where they're starting to feel like the things they're doing matter. And to me, that's massive for the confidence of the Montreal Canadiens. To me, that's massive for the future, knowing that Ken Hughes and Jeff Gorton, I think to a man, when they go home or they're driving home, and I know Ken Hughes doesn't like driving over bridges, so I know he's avoiding bridges, so maybe he's taking the detour, which means he's got a lot more room to think about what he wants to do. And that means you can make confident moves because there's a track record in a short sample size, really, of things I've done have kind of worked out. And to me, that's a big difference between Montreal's rebuild and, let's say, the Buffalo Sabres, to give you kind of a worst take example in terms of the differences between two organizations and where they're going, right? Your comments, again, coming in on this Saturday morning. Good morning, everybody. What's the pulse on a team's overall health and how that, at this time of year? Thank you, Curious Browser. So if you want some information, I'll tell you this about Patrick Laine, okay? Remember when the Montreal Canadiens said flu-like symptoms for Patrick Laine? Patrick Laine had severe migraine issues, okay? And the Canadiens didn't say he had the flu. He had flu-like symptoms, of which a migraine, severe headaches, can be a symptom of the flu. So that is what was going on with Patrick Laine, and that's why he was sidelined for as long as he was, and you heard that from me. The fact that, again, the Montreal Canadiens, outside of Emil Heineman getting hit by a Utah motorist on Monday, January 13th, and is out 3 to 4 weeks because he has a brace on his wrist. It might be broken, fractured, not sure, but upper body out a month. Outside of that, the Montreal Canadiens, and they deserve it, have been very, very healthy. So just wanted to let you know that was kind of what was going on with Patrick Laine, dealing with really nasty migraines, man. And if you know anybody that has had migraine issues, you know how serious that is. Your comments coming in today. Shalalamba. Is there a future on the Habs blue line for Logan Mailloux given his slow progress? Thank you for that comment. Now, the Laval Rocket played and won yesterday. They have points in 6 straight games. And Logan Mailloux has 18 points and 6 goals in 31 games. Joshua Roy continues to lead this team with 27 points and 14 goals after 33 games played. And Laval, backed again by Caden Primo, pick up a huge W at Utica. Owen Beck scored in the third period with 5 minutes left, about 4.5 minutes after Florian Jacki tied the game in the third period just past the midway point. And Utica scored twice on the power play. So Montreal at Laval, at even strength was more or less perfect on the road, outshooting the home side 28-25 in a 3-2 win, where Keaton Primo picks up another victory. So the goal scorers for Laval last night on the road, Montreal is back home tonight. Laval is back home tonight. Logan Mailloux in the second, Florian Jacki and Owen Beck in the third, and Keaton Primo shuts the door. Laval beats Utica in a 3-2 final. So the Rocket continued to impress, right? And I don't know if Logan Mailloux's progression had slowed down. My understanding is that they're trying to get they're good with Logan Mailloux's mental side. They're good with Logan Mailloux's physical game, which is massive. Wait till you see Logan Mailloux and he gets comfortable in the NHL. He is going to be a fan favorite. This guy is nasty, and he's not afraid, not intimidated. It's the other way around. He loves to go and push people around, and he's a nasty guy and can fight. And the offense is there. Everyone I speak to, Sean Campbell, who is the play-by-play voice for the Laval Rocket with us on TSN 690, and he watches him all the time. Logan Mailloux's offensive game is NHL ready. Defensively, I think it's massaging it out, working out the kinks, and hopefully getting that transition to the NHL level, okay? And I think that's why there was that story a week and a half, 2 weeks ago about Pascal Vincent talking about the defensive system, David Reinbacher talking about are they playing the same way, the big club versus the AHL club, and everything's been ironed out. Everything's copacetic. But the fact that they took Mailloux off the power play for a minute, like they're trying to get this guy's defensive game to tighten up. And on that note, how about that great news this week? David Reinbacher skating at Brossard. And if you weren't aware, right, obviously Reinbacher, like Laine, gets that devastating injury. It looked like his season was over. After the previous season was a disaster in Europe, he gets hurt. He's playing on a bad team, yada, yada, yada. You're like, oh my gosh, this is almost worst case scenario in terms of developing a top 5 draft pick. But the great news is Reinbacher at Brossard skating. And if you were previously unaware, what I loved about this, and it gives me so much belief that the organization from top to bottom is minding their P's and Q's, that David Reinbacher was encouraged to be a part of meetings, to be encouraged to be a part of breakdowns when breaking down, like the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. Like, he's going to be in the video room. They're going to be going over tape, talking about defensive structure, defensive systems. Like, to me, it's such a smart way to do business, because if David Reinbacher is absorbing all this information, absorbing all this instruction from his head coach, like, it should help the transition to get this guy on the same page with his teammates pretty quickly, as opposed to a guy who wasn't involved in any of those things, right? So that's the defensive side covered. Thanks for the question. That was a good question. Thank you so much for that. More of your comments coming in. Sean, I feel like our third and fourth lines are much better than Toronto's. All Montreal needs to do is shut down the Leafs' top guys. Bingo, bango, game over. From your lips to someone's ears, again, like when we talk about the tail of the tape for the Montreal Canadiens, other than the fact that Montreal got off to such a terrible start and Toronto has 10 more points than the Canadiens do, they're very tightly matched. Montreal has the edge in special teams. They have the better power play and better penalty killing units. The head-to-head is 1-1. Toronto beat Montreal 4-1 thanks to 2 power play goals and a shorty. And the Canadiens opened the season with a Sam Montembeault 1-0 win. I wouldn't read too much into the goals against per game. Maple Leafs 12th overall in the league. Montreal 26th. Still feeling the pain of all those slaughter games, 9-2, 6-2 drubbings. The Canadiens haven't outscored those early season problems yet. Goals per game, Montreal 16th in hockey, Toronto 13th. Scoring chances for, 18th in the NHL for Toronto, 26th in the NHL for the Canadiens. But again, I feel as though like those numbers are skewed because of the first 7 weeks of the Canadian season. So it should be. I'm excited for this game. Like, it should be a great hockey game tonight. I think Toronto's getting Montreal at the worst possible time. The Canadiens are just oozing confidence. They're winning in regulation. They're coming back in games to win against great opposition. So both teams should feel confident. Both teams have a lot to play for today. And ultimately, it's a massive, massive measuring stick game for the Canadiens. Scott Friedman, I see you. What is up, Scott? Good morning. Dave Laws asking, are you a buyer or a seller this season? Strength up the middle and on the right side and on defense. For sure, I agree, Dave. You want to upgrade this team. To me, it's a tough one. To me, it's almost like one of those fancy catch-22s. Like, I'm a big buyer of, I want to see this team be rewarded with the vote of confidence that they're not going to subtract and bring in a veteran. I feel as though that this group, this core that is the Montreal Canadiens, deserves every opportunity to go and battle with the guys that they've battled with all year long, And I'm not so sure how Ken Hughes sorts this out. I don't know. I don't know what he does because it's the 18th of January today. The Canadiens are a point out of a playoff spot today. So clearly they're in the mix. But what happens a month from now when it's February 18th? What happens when it's March 1st? Where are the Canadiens 1 week before the NHL trade deadline? Where are they? Are they in the playoffs? Are they out of the playoffs? And if they're out of the playoffs, what's the margin? I don't know the answer to those questions. I think I know what I want to see today. And that means if the Canadiens are 1 week before the NHL trade deadline, where they are now, 1 point out of a playoff spot, I'm not trading. I am not trading Jake Evans. I am not trading David Savard. I am not trading Yoel Armia. I'm not. The Canadiens and the players in that room, hypothetically, 1 week before the trade deadline, March 7th, if this group is a point out of a playoff spot, you cannot subtract from this roster. You cannot subtract from this roster. You have to reward these players for doing what, I'll put my hand up. I didn't think the Canadiens would be here where they are today. I will put my hand up and admit to you, I was not expecting this season. Full stop. I was not expecting what they're doing at all. At all. So, I would guess that the players in that room, Suzuki, Caulfield, Gallagher, the leaders of the Canadiens, David Savard, etc., Mike Matheson, I believe, to a man, they believed in themselves. I believe they believed in themselves. But on the outside looking in, I didn't think the Canadiens were going to be this competitive, this deep into the season. Here we are now into the second half. Here we are into mid to late January, talking about the Montreal Canadiens 1 point out of a playoff spot. You cannot subtract from this team. You have to let them build off this confidence. So how does Ken Hughes figure this out? That's why he gets paid the big bucks. And Ken Hughes is an absolute shark, an absolute hockey shark. This guy swims, and you already saw the deal. You think Nashville's ready to make another deal? Ken Hughes fleeced the Nashville Predators for Alex Carrier. Your comments coming in today. Thank you so much for being with me on this Saturday morning. So I think that answers your question about buyer or seller, okay? Zeph, the Habs have been playing top teams and won the games. We still need a few players as soon as they arrive. Demidov, obviously, Ivan Demidov, I can't wait for this guy. I can't wait to see. Almost every other day, we're seeing highlight reel goals from this kid. Tommy Myers, good morning, Tommy. I want to see the Habs win and Jack-Eye knock Ryan Reeves out. Go Habs, go. Win this one. Tommy, I am on board to see Arbor Jack-Eye knock out Ryan Reeves. Thank you for that. Let's get back to your comments. Brad Wright believes Logan Mailloux will be up by season's end. I don't disagree. I thought he would have been up earlier, but I think, as I mentioned, defensively, his game wasn't tight enough. I think that's why, Ken Hughes went through auditioning processes this season, I believe, with Jaden Struble, Arbor Jack-Eye, and Justin Barron. I think it's clear that Justin Barron didn't pass the audition, and Arbor Jack-Eye, in my eyes, passed the audition with flying colors. I like Jaden Struble's game. I like it a lot. I think he's physical and picks his spots, and that's what made Justin Barron expendable. And because Logan Mailloux's defensive game wasn't NHL ready, in my opinion, that's why Alex Carrier was brought in. They needed to make a move to get reliable minutes from a reliable player on the right side. And look what's happened. Good morning from Virginia Beach. This game is on the NHL Network in the U.S. Hey, the guy from Virginia Beach has a Hartford Whalers logo. That's pretty cool. I love Virginia Beach. It was the first place. Virginia Beach was the first place I think I ever went on vacation ever in my life to. I was at Vanier. It was my first year at Vanier college here in Montreal. For those like that guy who said the game's on the NHL Network in the U.S. So I would imagine the guy from Virginia Beach isn't so sure what a cégep is. So basically, it's it's that period in between. High school for us here in Quebec ends at grade 11, and then you have college basically, and before you go into university, and that's what a cégep is. And so when I was at Vanier, we did a little spring break and we went to Virginia Beach. I almost died the first day in Virginia Beach. I don't know if people are interested in my Virginia Beach I almost died story. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I thought I was going to die. But here I am. Surprise! Still alive and happy to be here. Oh. So if you want me to tell the story, I'll tell the story, but I don't want to waste your time if you're not interested in my life. So lots of people reacting to the Canadiens and my take on keeping this room together. Scott Friedman, the group is tight. I don't want to ruin chemistry. Dave Laws agrees with me. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So thank you for that. Scott Friedman believes this team is a juggernaut. Will Martin St. Louis ever shave again? Listen, Martin, have you seen Martin St. Louis? I was a little bit worried. Okay, let's talk about MSL's beard for a minute. I was a little bit concerned. Remember Marc Bergevin? He turned into like Grizzly Adams for a second. Ooh, is this guy a GM or is he a hobo at the Lionel Gru metro station panhandling for loose change so he can go buy a coffee? I was glad to see Martin St. Louis, a little manicure, just a little manicure, a little manscaping, tighten that thing up. I think he looks great. Lots of comments today. I'm trying to keep track of everybody. Recliner Sports, nice to see you again, Recliner Sports, on this Saturday morning. What are we doing with forwards in the AHL if we're keeping Armia, Dvorak, and others? Let me answer a question with a question, which I know you're never supposed to do. Have you ever heard anyone say, man, that guy spent too much time in the American Hockey League? The answer is no. The answer is no. So, as I mentioned already, I think there's a little bit of a jam here. And let me bring this up for a second. Let's talk about Laval Rocket players, okay? Here, let me bring this up so we can all see this together, because I don't know if we're all on the same page, okay? I just want to bring this up. Let's look at this. This is the leading scores of the Laval Rocket this season after last night's 3-2 win in Utica, okay? So here's good old Joshua Roy. 33 games and 27 points. Alex Barré-Boulet, who is, an older veteran AHLer, okay? No disrespect, but I'm not worried about Alex Barré-Boulet, okay? Nice season so far in the AHL. I'm happy for him. Owen Beck, money player, 25 points, 9 goals, scored the game-winning goal at the 15-minute marker of the third period for Laval last night to give the Rocket a 3-2, and he's on 9 goals, 25 points. Let me stop there. From what I've heard, Owen Beck is a Jake Evans with better scoring. Now, I'm a little reluctant to buy into that entirely because defense is hard work. Defense is smart, positional play. I'm not saying Owen Beck's a bobo. Obviously not. He's a very good professional hockey player, third on the team scoring in the AHL. That is worthy of recognition, clearly. But, as we all know, not everybody comes into the NHL and looks like Lane Hudson. Right? Sometimes they look like Justin Barron. Sometimes they look like Jaden Struble. Sometimes they look like Arbor Jackeye. Sometimes it looks like a project. And when it comes to adapting to the National Hockey League, NHL hockey comes at you fast and furious, okay? So in the here and now, Recliner Sports, to answer your question, here's how I would do it. Yoel Armia and Jake Evans stay. Christian Dvorak, even though he's part of that 5-man little post-game huddle where they all dip down and pop back up again, it's the business of hockey, and Christian Dvorak to me is expendable. And I think that brings up room for Owen Beck. I think the Canadiens take a hard look at Oliver Kapanen, who's playing in the Swedish Hockey League. And so, again, you have auditioning. And this, to me, is nothing but great positive news because inner competition brings out the best. And it separates those that aren't up to the challenge or don't pass it. And that could mean trades. It could mean assets that Ken Hughes can flip if they are attracted to other teams. All I'm saying is they have a lot of options, and I like having a lot of outs. I just don't want to be backed into a corner where, okay, Jake Evans is here, but if Jake Evans goes, we have one out. And if that guy doesn't hit, oh my God, we're up Bleeps Creek without a paddle, right? I don't want that. I want Ken Hughes to say, man, okay, we lose Jake Evans. We got Michael Hage. We got Oliver Kapanen. We've got Owen Beck. You got 3 guys. I'm going to take 33% on each guy as an out. I will take that math all day, every day, as opposed to one guy where that one guy has to be 100% success rate. And if he doesn't, then it's 0% and we're left with what? So like I said, I think it's a tricky spot to be in for sure. But that's personally how I would handle it. I love Yoel Armia's game. I mean, obviously, I think we've all seen the highlight when he lost the stick against Dallas and he was pushing guys around. Like, if you watch me regularly, you know I love dirty minute-eating players, and he is a dirty minute-eating player, and he's excellent at doing that. Zeph LeCav believes Joshua Ottawa has to be a top 9 player. I don't disagree. I don't want to see Joshua Ottawa here playing on the 4th line, but I also don't want to see Michael Pezzetta play every day anymore. You know, Michael Pezzetta was a great soldier for the Montreal Canadiens. Let's call it like it is. This guy sat for 30 games and didn't say anything, kept working hard. As John Doe says here, to get Arbor Jacki, who's undrafted, is unbelievable. For sure it is. For sure it is. Though we got lots of comments today. Fox Sake says, mark my words, Beck will excel in the NHL. I hear the same thing, brother. I hear the same thing. I hear Owen Beck is going to be very good. Hank, do we really have to be barking, Hank? Hank, do we really have to be barking here? Get up here. Come here. Come here. Get over here. Come. Good boy. Look at this puppy here. Yeah, so I don't know why Hanky's barking all over the place. Oh, there he is. Oh, there he is. Hank, you know, I'm trying to do a live show. Here. What is this here now? Ugh, what do I do? I apologize, everybody. We got lots of comments today. Hank, he's a diva. What do you want me to do? The dog loves being on the stream all the time. It's the Hank cam. Yeah, I agree. Somebody just brought up here. Let me switch over here fast. Somebody brought in Davidson. Davidson's been absolutely on fire for the Laval Rocket, right? We're talking about Jared Davidson, 14 goals and 24 points for Jared Davidson. Good call by you. I forgot about Jared Davidson because I'm so hypnotized by Owen Beck and Joshua Ottawa. Good on you for bringing up Jared Davidson. Yeah, Hanky back on the stream today. We need a Hank cam. I can make that happen. I promise you I can make that happen. Man's best friend is Hank. Where did all this Jared Davidson... Yeah, Morgan asking where all the Jared Davidson talk come out of. He's having an unbelievable season. Like I admitted, shame on me. Like, the young bucks of Owen Beck and Joshua Ottawa are getting lots of love. But you're right. The other guy, too, on the defensive side is Adam Engstrom, who's having a burner of a season for Pascal Vincent with 18 points in Laval. And the Rocket, let's call it, the Rocket are doing very, very well. They are the top team in the North Division after 36 games. They have 23 wins, and they're 1 point up on Rochester and the Cleveland Monsters. So, like the Canadiens, ahead of the biggest regular season game to date against Toronto tonight, Laval is also in a heated battle with 2 teams in their own division. Your comments coming in on this Saturday morning. Good morning, everybody. Hanky is a beauty. Thank you for that. Hanky also agrees. He's a little bit of a diva, though. Great show, Shaun. I can't stick around. We're still friends. Recliner, we're not friends. We are the best of friends. Have a great Saturday. Ivan Demidov is going to set it all off. Book it. Bro, I don't need you to tell me to book it. I am all ready to get... Okay, listen. Look what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a President's Cup hoodie. I've got my Titleist staff bag there. Okay? Listen to me when I tell you. I would be good not hitting a golf ball in the summer of 2025 if that meant Ivan Demidov in his rookie season scores 100 points. I will give up playing golf for the summer of 2025 if I can be assured Ivan Demidov comes to Montreal and scores 100 points in his rookie season. Lock it in. Final answer. So that's how I feel about Ivan Demidov. Your comments. Engstrom is looking great, says Rob McLeod, no doubt. Solo freestyle work is the best, thank you. At what point should Anderson and Gallagher be considered liabilities to make room? Human Kirk with the question on Josh Anderson. That's a tough one, man. You know, I like Brendan Gallagher. I said this on the morning show with Connor on Friday morning. This is the beauty, of people listening to the live stream. Look at this guy. Here, Frank. Here, Frank's texting me. He's watching me on TV, saying I'm lying about playing golf. Come on, Frank. I mean it, brother. Thanks for listening, Frank. I appreciate it. Happy Saturday morning to you and your beautiful family. Frank, of course, the proud father for the first time. So I'm glad you're taking a break from your crying baby. Because again, as Connor has told me, he's the father of 2 young kids. There's really not much you could do as the dad at this point, you know? So this is we are the morning of the biggest game of the Montreal Canadiens regular season, and I am so ready for Ivan Demidov. What else are y'all saying in the chat today? Good morning, everybody. Look at all these comments. Woo-wee! You guys are the best. Thank you for all these comments today. I really, really appreciate it. Do you play Demidov with Laine and Doc or Susie and Caulfield? Mildly fun in the chat this morning. Thank you, mildly fun. This is a good question. This is how I would do it. I am kind of on the surface in love with the possibility of an all-beef line of Patrick Laine, Uri Slafkovsky, and Kirby Dach. That appeals to me greatly. But in the here and now, I would keep Uri Slafkovsky on the top line with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. Suzuki and Caulfield, they play like they're brothers. They play like they can read each other's minds, you know, which is so good for the future because it's only going to get better. And then having Uri Slafkovsky, can he be the John LeClair, the garbage man, you know? And that goal that Caulfield set up Slafkovsky to score in Dallas was a thing of beauty. And I won't forget this. Years ago, in the summer where the Canadiens drafted Cole Caulfield, I'm speaking to now Laval Rocket general manager John Sedgwick. And we're in the parking lot of the Kanawaki Golf Club. And we're talking about the organization. I'm picking his brain. John's great at just like someone like me asking him questions, right? Like he doesn't give me insider information, but for the most part, I get an idea, you know? And one of the things John had said to me, and I've remembered it ever since, we all love Caulfield's goal scoring, but his ability to set people up and his playmaking and his vision is so underrated. And when he set up Uri Slafkovsky to score that goal against Dallas on Thursday night, I was like, damn, there it is. Damn, there it is. You know, and you see it more and more. And there's something about having a big-bodied forward that could drive to the net if he needs to muscle people out of the way and score a garbage goal. John LeClair style. What's wrong with that? More comments coming in today. Bartholomew, Habs will forever be Canada's team. From your lips, brother. I'm not too concerned, says this commentator, about Gallagher's contract. The leadership he brings to the dressing room. It's a lot to pay, man. It's $6.5 million for Brendan Gallagher with, 2 years left on that 6-year deal? And so let me finish my thought on Gallagher, okay? I got some schnuggers in my nose. Welcome to live YouTube. Let me finish my thought on Brendan Gallagher. Brendan Gallagher is an example to set for future players inside the Montreal Canadiens organization. And I think Brendan Gallagher's future, what I would like it to be, kind of like Paul Byron. You know Paul Byron, who just joined the Kanawaki Golf Club? Insider information. Is still with the Montreal Canadiens, player development style. If Brendan Gallagher wants to work in hockey, I would love for the Montreal Canadiens to keep him in the Familia. I really would. Because, again, if he wants it, you know, does he want to go back to Western Canada? Does he want to go back to BC where his dad trains and trains NHL players and stuff like that? I don't know. But if Gallagher wants to stay in Montreal, I think it would be so smart for the organization to keep him. Give him a player development job, whatever it is. Because this man loves being a Canadian. I think Brendan Gallagher brings pride to the Montreal Canadiens uniform. And I think he can help identify future players that maybe he can see some of himself in down the road. And I think he's a valuable asset as someone to set an example and follow. So that's what I would like to see Brendan Gallagher's off-the-ice future consist of. And that's what I think we talk about. The Canadiens are trying to build a culture. Brendan Gallagher is culture, man. Like, on the line, heart and soul, the heart of a lion, whatever he needs to do to help a teammate out, to win a game. Gallagher, throughout the course of his NHL career, has shown that and more. So I think they have a bright future as it relates to building a culture, and I think Brendan Gallagher, in my opinion, has to be part of that. Steph Howard, for Demidov first year, I play him with Evans and Heineman for first half and then move him to the dock line. Interesting perspective. I've heard so many old heads talk about everything's earned, not given. Let's see what Demidov looks like at camp. Classy moves attract classy players, says insubordinate academic. I like that. Leads me to believe, when I see a username like insubordinate academic, you know what it makes me believe? This guy's, or person, girl, whatever, 95% of my audience is men. At least I have 5% ladies. I think that's a great number. I'm not going to lie. I love the fact that, 95%, we're a sausage party. I get it. We talk hockey. I get it. But I'm proud that 5% of my analytics have the women demographic. I'm a big fan of that. I wish wish the number was higher, to be honest with you. Maybe if I was prettier, maybe I'd have more. But when it comes to insubordinate and academic, I like that name because I believe you're smart and I believe you're rebellion, which makes me believe you're even smarter than I think you are. Recliner Sports says he's back. Can't stay away, baby. Huge game day for the Montreal Canadiens. Man, I am so stoked for this hockey game tonight. Again, the quick tail of the tape. 10 points separate the Montreal Canadiens from the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs have 6 more wins and 10 more points. But in terms of the goals per game, 3.04 for Toronto, 3 even for the Canadiens. Goals against, heavily tilted in favor of Toronto. 12th in hockey, Montreal 26th. The Canadiens have the edge in special teams, the better power play and PK units, and the head-to-head record is 1-1. So again, setting us up for a great game. What do you think the game? Give me a final score. Give me some final score predictions before I get into some NFL action this morning. Lots of people commenting and being with us on this Saturday morning. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. End the show and go play with Hank. Not yet. We're coming. It's coming. Don't worry. Don't tell me to end the show. You don't want to watch the show? You can leave the show. Don't worry about it. It is game day, brother. DBD. What's up? So, yeah, give me some final score predictions for the Habs and Leafs game today. And, yeah, I agree. The Boston Bruins, my friends, are on the clock. And so Habs and Leafs tonight. We'll be back at 9:30 tomorrow morning. We'll be back at 9:30 tomorrow morning to recap this game. See if I can get you a special guest on the show for tomorrow morning. But yeah, here come the predictions coming in right now. 3-2 overtime losses, mildly fun. Habs 4-3 in overtime. Sean, we are a top team, says Scott. Habs win 4-2 tonight. Habs win in overtime on a goal from Patrick Laine, says Mark. 4-2 Habs. 4-2 Habs, says Friedman. Insubordinate and academic. 4-3 Montreal Canadiens. Like the stream, people. This is great. Thank you. I appreciate that. And if you want there, you could see at the chat at the bottom, there's a little $sign there. Tips are always accepted. Hank made my German Shepherd bark. Audio Murphy says 6-4 Habs, 5-4 Habs. Shawalalamba 4-1 Habs. Habs win 4-1, says Brad Wright. So we're feeling it. Lots of people thinking this game is going to go to pass regulation. That's how tight this game is going to be. Oh man, I don't even want to get off the stream. I just want to keep doing this until the game starts. I can't wait. Frank McCumber Jr. 7-2 Habs. Frank feeling it this morning. What up, Frankie? Human Kirk says 10-0 Habs with Michael Pezzetta with the hat trick. I think I've identified Michael Pezzetta on the stream, and his name is Human Kirk. Mike Pezzetta. I'm a fan, brother. I loved your reaction when you took the penalty in Dallas. I couldn't believe Pezzetta. You took a penalty in Dallas, Frankie. Come on, brother. What are you doing, man? So yeah, thank you so much. So many great comments coming in today. I really, really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being a part of the stream. I think this is the most we've received so far. Habs will embarrass the Leafs. Fine. I would love to see the Montreal Canadiens flatten. I would love to see the Canadiens flatten the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. Wouldn't that be the best? John Doe for the tip jar. What is up, brother? Thank you, John. I appreciate that very much. That's a classy move, Johnny. Thank you, sir. This allows me again, just to be able to enhance the production value of this program, right? As you can see here, finally, for longtime viewers, I had the worst live stream setup imaginable, right? The lighting was bad, internet connection was bad, post-production wasn't the best. So yeah, I basically extended myself. I got the best internet package Bell has up for offer, the 3 gigabyte package. That's why the stream is 10 times better. I bought a computer, I bought a ring light, I bought a bunch of different software to edit and put some graphics on and stuff like that, just to make it look more professional, right? So that's what we're doing, and that's why we started this project. Just because, again, I've been in mainstream media, I've been in TSN 690 on terrestrial radio. It's my career, it's my passion, it's in my heart, it's in my blood, it's what I love to do. And thank you to everybody that listens and carries over to my fun little YouTube project, right? But what happens when I do mainstream media and I do mainstream radio at a level, right, that's backed by TSN, backed by Bell, right? We have all the resources and everything else. And then I come and I do my fun little project here on YouTube, and what happens? Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. You guys are just the best. I'm not gonna cry. But what happens is I have a certain standard, and the fact that this stream for the first month was so bad, and then occasionally you guys were so nice to me, you weren't bitching and complaining about, oh, what is this rinky-dink kind of stuff. I'm so appreciative of the fact that you're still here, and you're oh, well, you have so many other options to watch, and I know other people do good stuff on YouTube, and I like what I do too. But I'm just glad that I was able to invest in this, take a shot, extend myself out, and try to bring what I hope to be a translatable, good, consistent product where we can have fun, have a laugh, not take ourselves too seriously. And I guess what I'm trying to just build a different Habs community here where I'll repeat myself. I want to have fun. I want to have good discussions, respectful discussions. I have room for a differing opinion. If somebody comes on and says, "You're Slakowski, I see red flags, Shaun," I don't immediately dismiss that. What I do is I want to listen to your point of view. And if you have a good point of view that goes against my opinion, I will listen to you in a respectful way. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. That's the project. That's the project, right? So, yeah, it is growing pains. It is growing pains. And I don't mind. I don't mind going slow. I don't mind taking my time. I don't mind going through growing pains and learning from the mistakes that I've made and growing from there, right? But the fact, again, that I think ultimately, I pride myself on being a team guy and being an optimist. And the fact that, most of you have stayed with me and have stayed loyal and are right here, man, it's... I don't want to get too mushy and too sappy, but I think it just means more than what I'm expressing right now. Okay, thank you for that. This is Quebec and we Gallagher style. Insubordinate, thank you. Fact sakes, my favorite username. Welcome to the club. Thank you so much. When is my next Hab show? We will be here tomorrow morning at 9:30 to recap the Habs and Leafs game tonight. second owner. Winnipeg checking in. Keep streaming. I remember the CarCast a couple of years ago. That's how this started, right? It was in the car with Starr. I would go in my car after a show with Connor. I just rant and rave about whatever. And I miss doing that. I love doing that. It was so fun, and I love interacting with all of you all the time. And I will do that. That will be coming back. But in the here and now, in the winter months, this is a home studio show. Ace of Replays, I'm the man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Are you on Blue Sky, Shaun? Yes, I am on Blue Sky. You can find me there. Just search my name at Shaun Starr. You'll find it there. So, yeah, you guys are just the best. So, thank you so much. I don't want to make this a show just telling you guys how great you are, because I think you already know that. So let's wrap up our Saturday morning show as we are 6 minutes away from the hour marker where we have been here together. Thank you for joining us. So I've got the Habs winning tonight. I like the Montreal Canadiens beating the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-3 with Sam Montembeault again establishing himself. I'll end on this before I get to my NFL picks. The fact that Jakub Dobeš looks and plays the way he has is so good for Sam Montembeault, because Sam Montembeault is still the number one goaltender in Montreal. It doesn't mean that he isn't looking over his shoulder. As I mentioned earlier in this cast, the fact that competition separates the strong from the weak, I'm here for that, okay? But what Jakub Dobeš has provided, other than very good, brilliant goaltending compared to what Cade and Primo delivered, was relief for Sam Montembeault. Montembeault was playing, 10 starts in a row, and had all of this pressure on him to be the man because he didn't have enough help. So Dobeš comes in, beats a murderer's road to get to 4-0. He's allowed, 4 goals in 4 starts, goals against under 1. It allows Montembeault a room to breathe. And don't think, I don't believe this. I don't believe that Sam Montembeault looks at Jakub Dobeš after beating Dallas in Dallas 3-1 thinking, oh my God, my job, they're going to trade me? No. I think he's happy for Dobeš. I think he's happy to have someone that he can share the net with that plays very well, because psychologically, I have to believe this is such a relief for Sam Montembeault that he can say, okay, someone else has the net. I don't got to be the guy every time. But with that being said, I also don't think that it's a rotation yet. I still think that Sam Montembeault is the number one goaltender. And I say that because of how Martin St. Louis has handled Juraj Slafkovsky, how he's handled Kirby Dach, how he's handled younger players, and how patient he's been with all of those. So I think he's going to be patient with Jakub Dobeš. I don't think it's going to be a 50-50 split because Sam Montembeault is still the man. Brad Wright wants me to bring the dog in the car. Maybe I could do that. Let's see what else we got here. We suck. Give us hell. Never. Not yet, anyway. JP Tabarnak, comment ça va, mon gars? I still believe in the old style of goaltending where you win with the one who's hot. Yeah, and I think there's some merit to that, right? So what are you saying? Jakub Dobeš is 4-0, brother. He's allowed 4 goals in 4 starts. Look who Jakub Dobeš has beaten. It's crazy. I know everyone talks about, Carey Price. People were, Jakub Dobeš shut out Florida, 2-1 shootout win in Colorado, 3-2 overtime win at Washington, and a 3-1 regulation win at Dallas. It's awesome how this guy has been playing. But it's still Sam Montembeault's net for me. Because in other words, so that means as you know, if you listen to me regularly, Dobeš, I would have started Dobeš tonight. I wouldn't have started him Thursday in Dallas, but whatever. Dobeš to me was a Saturday night game, because if I finish my thought on Dobeš here, it is he talks and reacts after games like Patrick Waugh to me. This skinny kid with confidence. He doesn't have a shy voice. He's not oh, yeah, it was a good game. I was happy the team in front of me against Dallas played well. No, he's bro, I play. I'm a Montreal Canadien. I want to be in the net. I want to win. I want to play all the time. To me, that is very reminiscent of Patrick Waugh's swag. Again, swag. Not on the ice. Attitude. Last check into the comments here. I know I keep saying I'm going to go to my NFL picks. I will eventually. Um, Monty's our number one. He's earned it for sure. And they're both hot, says Recliner. And Insubordinate says, honestly, I'm more confident with this tandem than I was with Price and Halak because of the overall team structure. That's a fair comment. John says Dobish's confidence is off the charts. That's undeniable. And there's something about that. Like if I just highlight this Insubordinate academic comment where he says he's more confident in the tandem of Dobish Monty than Price and Halak, I am on board with that. You know why? Because I think Halak is, as good as he turned out to be, it was unsustainable. Like what the Canadians are doing, and I think we can all agree here, what the Canadians have accomplished to become the hottest team in the last month, 11-2-1, is there's nothing fugazi about it. Like there's nothing rubbish, there's nothing fluky, there's nothing unsustainable. It's not like they're getting caved in shots against and whoever's in net stands on their head and spits out Shawnee Nichols. No, it's strong, fundamental balance from your 4 forward lines, your 3 tandems on defense, and whoever's in net. It's very believable. It's very, very believable. And that, to me, is why I like what he's saying about it's more believable than Price and Halak. Because everything around this team seems more legitimate, more authentic than, ooh, they caught fire, caught a moment in the sun, and here they are, right? Thank you for that. Of course, I remember the stop signs with Yaroslav Halak. I still think I have them on my phone. Okay, I'm never going to get off this bleep and stream if you guys don't stop commenting, but thank you so much, okay? So now, let's take a turn and get ready, everybody. It's time for my quick reaction to the National Football League playoffs, and it starts at 4:30 this afternoon, okay? Up for 4:30, it's the 10-7 Houston Texans, who are 5-4 away from home, at the 8-0 at home Kansas City Chiefs, who finished the season at 15-2. Kansas City favored by 9 points with a total set at over under 41.5 points. Know this. The Houston Texans have existed in the National Football League, my friends, for 23 years. They have played in this game, the divisional game of the NFL playoffs, a total of 5 times in the history of their franchise, dating back to 2002. Houston is 0-5 in this spot, franchise time. They have never won an NFL divisional round to get to a conference championship game. Now, Houston was close in 2019 when they had a 24-0 lead, but blew it and choked that one away to, dun dun dun, yes, the Kansas City Chiefs. So not only have the Chiefs never won a divisional round game, but they've also never won a playoff game on the road. So can they do both things in one game? Probably not. Now, overall, what can make this game competitive? It's a massive point spread, and that sucks. I'm not going to lie, that part sucks. Because are you ready for the spreads? The 2 spreads for today's games, KC by 9, and I'll get to the Lions game in a second. The Lions are favored by 8.5 points. That sucks. That's what Vegas thinks. And that sucks. Because the wildcard weekend games were terrible, save for one game. So how can Houston make this close today? 4:30 kickoff from Arrowhead. This is how I think they can make it close, because I like the Texans plus 9 points. So if you're unfamiliar with point spreads, and I apologize for those that know the gambling space a little bit better, for those that don't know the point spread system that well, it's very easy to figure out, okay? So let me take 1 second and explain it. So when you see Kansas City favored by 9 points, what that means is basically right now, Houston has a 9-0 lead without the game having been played yet. Houston's up 9-0. In order for you to win this bet, Kansas City minus 9, assuming that's what you would play, Kansas City has to do 2 things. They have to win the game, and they have to win by more than 9 points. Whereas Houston, if you take Houston, that would mean Houston plus 9. Houston can do 2 things and you win. Houston can win the game outright, you win. You don't have to worry about the points. If Houston loses, let's say 27-20, Kansas City wins 27-20, but you're on Houston +9. That means Kansas City did not win by a margin greater than 9. Therefore, you win. So that's what I mean when I say I like Houston +9 points. Why? Because the Texans' defense is good. They play man-to-man. They had 49 sacks this season. That was the 4th most in the NFL. And if they can keep that constant pressure on Patrick Mahomes, I think it gives them a fighting chance. So I have more context on that. It happened 6 times this season where Mahomes for Kansas City was sacked 3 times or more. 6 times. Kansas City went 6-0. Okay? But they won those 6 games by a field goal on average. About 3.5 points margin of victory on average. So that's how I think Houston stays in this game. Kansas City doesn't blow anybody out, and Houston puts a ton of pressure on the quarterback. And if they can get to him and force him into some spots, then I do believe Houston has a fighting chance. That's how I get to Houston +9 points. Your comments coming in today as I dip into the National Football League. With those odds, take the Texans. Kansas City, Detroit, Philadelphia, Baltimore in Jay Fed's opinion. Houston, we have a problem, says Audio Murphy. They had 5 picks off Goff, still lost, but 5 picks. You're right. And I do believe, when Patrick Mahomes was asked about the margin of victories this season, they're more interested in the W's than they are the style points. That's where Kansas City is at right now, okay? So that's my pick for the first game. Now, let's move to the later game tonight. The primetime game. Jaden Daniels and his Washington Commanders, who finished the year at 12-5. They were 5-3 on the road this season. Detroit went 7-2 at home and went 15-2 on the season. The Lions go into this game at home, favored by 8.5 points, with a total of over-under 55.5. Okay, so let's dip into this game quickly. And when it comes to what the Commanders have been able to do, is, again, history not on their side. You got to go back 20 years to find the last time the Commanders made it this far into the NFL playoffs. But on the positive side, if you like offense and you like the potential of fireworks, this is the game for you. Because we have some of the highest scoring teams in the regular season, both, as a matter of fact, ranked in the top 5 in points per game. Detroit averaged over 33 points, Washington over 28 points a game. And so basically what I'm saying is there's a good chance that we are going to see fireworks tonight. Both offenses are on complete fire right now. They're both very creative play calling teams, and I think both teams right now are playing their best football of the season. Jaden Daniels has been outstanding, and he gets to go up against the Lions defense that has, as much as we like the Lions, they have allowed the 3rd most passing yards in the NFL this past season. And they are also a little bit banged up on defense. And Washington's offense is talented, good enough, fast enough, I believe, to take advantage of that. Now, if Detroit wants to, avoid the choke label, the upset label, the smartest thing for them to do is to pound the ball on the ground all the time. Let's keep it simple, stupid. The Lions averaged close to 147 rushing yards per game this season. That was inside the top 10 of the National Football League all year long. The Commanders, 30th in run defense. They average 137.5 yards given up per game. So if the Lions run the ball efficiently, effectively, what does that mean? You keep the opposing defense on the field, you keep Jaden Daniels off the field, and you eat up the clock. Clock management and time of possession will be everything in the NFL playoffs this year. So that's what we're looking at from that perspective, okay? And Jaden Daniels, man, has that je ne sais quoi. He's got that little extra. So are you ready for this? Let's see an upset. I like Washington to win this game in a shootout. I think Washington can get up to 34 points, and I would put a little something on the Washington Commanders to go to Detroit and pull off the upset. Put a little something on the Washington Commanders to win this game outright. If you're not as confident, obviously take the 8.5 points that odds makers have given you and back the Washington Commanders. So there you go. Those are my picks. That's what I'm looking at today. Take them, fade them, play them, whatever. That's just my advice on what I think is going to happen today. I'm ready for an upset. I've got the Commanders pulling off the upset in Detroit, and I like Houston keeping it kind of close with Kansas City. So we're going to take the points. And as Brad Wright in the comments alludes to here, and I mentioned that in my breakdown, the Commanders' run defense is terrible. 30th ranked run defense. Just want to remind you of that. 30th ranked run defense. But Jaden Daniels, man, I'm a Bears fan, Brad. I've seen it. I've seen the heartbreak. And listen, just because I pick Washington doesn't mean they're going to win the game. I think they have a chance, and I'm bold enough to put my neck out there and make that pick. But the more confident play is Washington plus 8.5 points all day, every day. But Brad, if you're a Detroit fan, I don't care if my pick is right or wrong. I hope that, Brad, I don't want your heart to be broken. And I like the Detroit Lions have been a great storyline, obviously. So that is it, my friends. Habs and Leafs, I got the Habs winning tonight. Should be a great game. Best regular season game of the season to date, and more to come. Thank you so much for being with me for the entirety of this live stream. Bookmark it tomorrow at 9:30. Let's react to the Canadiens and Leafs. Let's react to the NFL playoffs tonight. And let's preview the biggest NFL game of the year. Bills and Ravens. And we'll set up the Canadiens and New York Rangers Sunday night at 7. So all that coming up tomorrow morning at 9:30. Thank you so much for really being a part of this live stream today. It means everything. And we will see you again tomorrow at 9:30. Set that notification so you don't miss it. All right? Peace.